Hi, everybody. Welcome to Blogging Lunchtime Bytes. Today we're going to work with Ron Snayberger and continue on with the header design. And then we're actually going to go in and look at blocks and see what, building blocks are what make up a website. No matter how curved and wiggly all the graphics are, everything is still done within blocks. Would you agree with that, Bill? Bill Reed is our IT master.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just in the early days of WordPress and getting used to the framework in there with widgets, being able to configure little blocks of interesting stuff and move them around on a page just makes building a website so much easier. You really don't have to touch much code at all, if at all. And it looks like with the particular thing that we're talking about today with the Headway blocks, it's even it's like widgets on steroids, So
Look, it's even more than widgets on steroids. We're still thinking of widgets on the sidebars, or maybe a widget down at the bottom, maybe a widget snuck in at the top of the head. In this, you can put widgets anywhere. You can have widgets on some pages and not on others, and it is just incredible what you can do. If the audience would like to follow along with an actual website to play with, I suggest that you go over to todaysvisions.com. Should be in my header down below, but that didn't work today. And just click on the big black and white graphics that says Join Today's Visions, and you will be set up with your own website. And you can do your own experimenting right along with us and play with this fabulous tool. When we started, Ron, you had a particular graphic, and I'm going to go over to screen share here in just a second, but you had a particular graphic that dealt with Burger Bytes on your Google+, which you're still using. Yep. And we got into this huge creative think tank last week on what you should do with it, and it was fabulous. I mean, I just loved it. I am going to go to screen share now. And I guess I'm going to do it this way.
I don't know if we
really this is the graphics.
Yep, that's it.
Pardon?
I said I don't know if we got into it last week, but the way this all started, this graphic came into being a year and a half ago, I guess. Dr. Lou Jensen did this for me when I got out of the hospital, and he said, you need something besides just the plain background on Google+. And I was putting up these quotes at the time, and he came up with this, and I've been using it ever since. And as we progress through, what we came up with currently, that's also from him. And the way that we came up with this UBU thing, it started a couple months ago, maybe 3 months ago, with Rain Dowell. I was messaging back and forth with her, and I said something to her, and she said, oh, Ron, she said, you just being you is awesome. And it struck a chord. I talked to Dr. Lou Jensen about it, and he came up with this. He said, Ron, it's like B2B, business to business. He said, UBU. He said, that's perfect for what you're doing. And that's how this came about.
Oh, it is perfect. Now, this is what we produced in Canva. Is that correct?
That was the first one you did before we got into Canva. Now, if you did it in Canva, you started that in Canva, but that's the first I saw. I didn't get into Canva with you like we did on the next one.
Right.
But that's the one that we started in Canva.
Yeah, we didn't. Let's see. From Canva, we used this brown piece, and we used this. The rest of this I did in Photoshop. We're doing this background on you, stripping you out of your background that you were on, and putting you in here. I did in Photoshop. I found Canva to be extremely limiting. It's wonderful as far as the text logos go, but it's extremely limiting as far as making layers or stripping out images, adding new images to it. I just found it extremely limiting to work with. Not anything like Photoplexer. And then we played with this, which was a little better, until we came up with this one, which I love.
Yeah, you moved that handsome guy out in the front and put the scroll behind. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
That's okay. So you're happy with our current iteration of your?
Yeah, it says what I want to say. It keeps a little bit of the burger bite thing there, the inspiring bites to chew on, and brought in the new UBU thing, and I'm happy with that.
Cool. Very, very, very cool. That was hey, we got people in the audience. That was an awesome example of how people can get together and creatively, have this wonderful creative collaboration. In the audience, we have William Rock, and since he's in the audience, I have to ask, William, do you want to join our panel today? And we have Jamil in the audience, and because my thing isn't showing, I also can't show these. And Albert Spalding is in the audience. So, hi y'all.
Hey everybody.
So if you're happy with that, I guess what we need to do now is go out and put it into your website.
Okay.
So here we go with the screen share again. So I'm going to turn my camera off this time.
So is the idea to use this graphic? Where on the website are you talking about using this graphic?
It's going to be on the header. So right now, this is Ron's website, which is nothing more than just a very, very blank wireframe, for lack of a better word. And if you go over and look at Positive Parents, this is where I've added the header. We've added some color. I've got a couple blogs going. So this is where we're headed to on Ron's.
Hey, Arizona?
Yes, sir.
Can you do me a quick favor? Go ahead and blue box your screen so you're the one that's primary for everybody in the audience.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm talking about? So that,
yeah. White box in it.
Yeah.
Woo, there we go. Okay, how's that?
Good.
Good.
Okay, so we've already logged in. If you want to follow along, all you have to do is go to today's visions, so that, and hit this joining is simple and sign up, and you'll get your own free website and you can play along with us. We're going to go into the dashboard, or we could have just gone over to Headway, which probably would have been the simplest way. I'm still used to going to dashboard and appearance to play around with the themes. Mm-hmm. But we want to go to the visual editor. We're going to go to the grid editor. And here's his header, which is 940 by 265, which should be plenty big enough. So what we want to do is we right-click. Right-click is very important in this. And open block options. And we choose the banner or logo. I think I may have already loaded this one in. Now, this background color that I have on this, I want to use everywhere eventually, but we're going to get to that. So we save, and then when we view the site, which opens up in a new tab, There we go. He's up there. How's that?
That's great looking. I
Looks
like
great.
that.
Did you, Ron, were you able to follow along okay as far as how to add the
Yeah,
image?
and I'm definitely going to watch this again. But yes, I'm a lot more comfortable this week than I was the previous two shows that we did. I was, it's like, okay, where am I going with this? But now that we've discussed stuff and we've got a direction, I'm a lot more comfortable, and I'm getting there.
Okay. Bill, do you have Comment Tracker up?
I don't have comment tracker up, but I have the event page up, so I'm seeing some of the comments
Okay, cool. Just
showing up here.
when I'm screen sharing, if you can shout out at me if I'm missing something, I would greatly appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, so that's where I got the indication, was just from the comments showing up on the event page. Who was that? That was Donald Brandt. Thanks, Donald. I wasn't quite sure, what was showing up on the screen for the audience, but appreciate it.
Yeah,
And,
I appreciate it.
Will Rock says, "Wow, very nice." It's fantastic that you can set a banner header like that so easily.
Yeah, it is so easy to use this particular framework that we're using on today's visions, and will allow for any type of site just about that you can imagine. So not just a blog.
Canva, your source, for creating the graphics. You said it was a combination of things, or you started with Canva, then you went and did some work with, what was it, PhotoFlexer?
And we never worked with PhotoFlexer on this one. We started in Canva because that was the online graphics editor I wanted to experiment with on this series.
Mm-hmm.
And while I love the logo, for the text, that was probably the only thing that really thrilled me about Canva. PhotoFlexer I mentioned as being, just so much easier to design in. And what I did on this one is that we started it in Canva and then moved it into Photoshop. I moved it into Photoshop and just started playing and sending it back and forth and continuing. Ron and I had such a great creative energy going that it was wonderful, just to continue that on.
Yeah, it's nice to have somebody to collaborate with, and bounce ideas back and forth. You get a lot done.
At the end of last week's show, William Rock said, yeah, another 3-4 hours, and that'll look pretty good,
That's about what it took, too. And Mia Voss says, Bill Reed, clap, clap, Bill Reed.
Hi.
Yay!
Yeah, I poked Mia just before the show. I said, hey, guess what? So anyway, yeah, hi Mia, hi Debbie, hi Will, hi everybody.
Yeah, we're thrilled. Mia's going to be a guest on Thinking Out Loud sometime soon in the future.
Oh, very cool. I'll be watching that show for sure.
Okay, William Rock.
Anyway, it does take time to do this. It's not a 10-minute job.
No, definitely it's not. And it's better too when you collaborate with someone, even someone who you normally would not think of as creative. Mm-hmm. Just getting their input can make you think of other things and other options.
Absolutely. And always give yourself a little more time than you think you're going to need. But also collaboration, one of the things it does help with too is helping you from taking too long. So if you're doing this by yourself, Ron, it might take you 6 days, to figure out, this feature or that little bell and whistle, when somebody who's with you can help, keep the scope under control and rein you in, or, bounce the ideas back and forth so you're not sort of floating around in the, gosh, what color do I want to use problems. So.
Well, it gives a new respect for graphic artists and web designers and what they do and the amount of years behind them that it takes. And it's something that I wouldn't have been able to do on my own, I know.
Yeah. Well, I think you probably would have with some coaching on the tools, but it may not have, been what we have right now. William Rock wants to know what the framework is. Okay, so today's Visions is going to be solely based on Headway theme. And that is, I think it's headwaytheme.com, but I will put the link in. This is not a free theme at all. I've purchased the Enterprise Edition, so we can use it for many, many, many sites, unlimited, but it is not free.
Yeah, I've just found the link for it. Actually, I'm throwing it in the
Thank you.
Comments. Piece of cake.
Yeah, I don't think it's all that expensive for an individual site. I think it's maybe $40.
Is that a one-time pay thing, or do you have to pay for maintenance?
It's a year, once a year.
$40 a year? Okay, that's pretty cheap.
Yeah. Okay. And what I do for my Gold members is they will get this framework in their site free, getting access to this. So a Gold member not only gets a website on Today's Visions, they also get their own domain name website, and the framework will be available on both.
So is Headway part of what makes WordPress capable of doing some of this stuff, or is that a multi-domain instance of WordPress a different aspect of what we're doing?
Headway is a theme that makes it easier to move blocks around on WordPress and not give it quite the... WordPress has always been great, but it has a blocky look. Mm-hmm. One page looks like the next, looks like the next, looks like the next, and Headway allows us to break away from that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's truly just, it's strictly a theme, not necessarily, domain architecture behind what you're doing for your customers on WordPress. No.
WordPress and multi-WordPress run the site, and then Headway is kind of on top of that as a wire framework.
Yeah, I'm going to be looking at this. I kind of like that kind of flexibility.
I love the flexibility. It is unreal. Okay, so let's talk about blocks and why they're so important. I mean, you hear Bill and I talking, and we know what we're talking about as far as blocks and why we say a website is made of blocks. Now, I kind of want to do a screen share real quick and show you what I mean, if you don't mind.
No, go right ahead.
Wait a minute. Let me do this and do this and do this, and you can tell this is live. And I'm getting much more comfortable with y'all, my viewers, because I'm just kind of talking to myself here.
I do that every day.
If we go online.
Yeah, everywhere. People think I'm crazy, but that's okay.
Okay, so this is the current Today's Vision site, and it's going to be replaced hopefully real soon with the wire framework. But I wanted to show this to show you exactly what I meant by blocks, because I think this illustrates it so perfectly. I'm sitting here with my hands, and y'all can't see me moving my hands. We start with, the very first block is a wrapper, and that's what this one is here. And that wrapper is kind of like the whole entire page that you see. Now within this block, we have this block up here. Oops, this block right up here, which is actually a widget block. And then we have the header block, which is yet another block. And the navigation block. Every single aspect of this is a block. All the way down to these sidebars are done with blocks. And this is where you'll hear Bill and I talking about widgets and how wonderful we've always thought of WordPress, because you could just move the widgets around. So, and this is what I mean by, everything is a block. And your website is built on blocks. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So when we go into here, and let's say we click on this, and I don't know if you can see, but when you click on it, it highlights it with like a little blue line. And we can go over here, we can right click and actually set this block name. Now this is going to be our primary header. So I'm going to name it primary header. And this lets us line things up so we can duplicate this on other pages.
Do you have to use underscores, or is that just part of a best practice you follow?
That is old school best practice programming that I do.
That's what I thought. I do that all over the place too. Sometimes, putting spaces in systems, things like this, they can throw it off. But throwing in the underscores, leaving out the apostrophes and other funny symbols.
Okay, I definitely think I would leave off the apostrophes and things like that, but you can put spaces in there.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Okay.
It's just very old school of me to throw the underscore in there.
I think the old school way of doing that stuff is sort of what helps keep you out of trouble with data validation and stuff on the back end.
Yeah.
You're troubleshooting, so I know what you're talking about.
Now the cool thing is that we can move blocks around, and it's going to tell us if we're overlapping, which is very nice, because you don't want to overlap. But then we can also resize maybe this block like this, and we could very easily just go in and draw in another block.
Wow. Cool.
So you can have two articles right next to each other. Now when you draw one in, it's going to ask you to select a block. You can make it a header again. And actually, you can use your header to display any type of image you want to. And navigation. So if you want to display a menu, this is where you would do it. Breadcrumbs, and we all know breadcrumbs are the links that show us how to get to, it shows you where you're at on the website, the hierarchy. So it actually shows an example here. Content, which is what you're primarily going to use, and this shows you a page or a post, and we're going to have a whole show dedicated just to this block. It is very, very, very rich. Or you can put a widget area, which is typically on the sidebars, like I showed you on today's visions. A footer, which I'm not sure why you would put a footer here. But here's one. I mean, you can do a slider. A very impressive, responsive slideshow could go here.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean,
I've seen some of these, just the slider alone, little block that you have there. I've seen other plugins and things that you have to pay for just to get that. So you're getting all that in one.
Oh, yeah. And what you see, I've got another one coming up that's really cool. The embed is for embedding YouTube videos, etc. And then we have Pinboard. Do you like Pinterest and the way Pinterest displays everything in big, bright, colorful images? That's what Pinboard gives you the ability to do in the drop of a hat.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then you can custom code if you know HTML, PHP, or have short codes, which come with, today's Visions comes pretty rich with short codes. You can put that in here. I didn't mean to do that. You can just do text, which is a rich text editor. You can do an image. You can do a search. Listings. This will list your post. Primarily, list just your post names. Your social. So when you want to put your social icons in, this is what you will use. And this Tabs Plus block is an extra that comes with Gold Plus. Not with the indies, and it allows you to do cool tabbed images. Let me show you one so I can show you what I'm talking about. So if we go to blog discoveries, let's say, maybe, interesting. I'm so glad I'm redoing this site.
It's kind of like spring cleaning, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, and I'm late on getting the primary site up, even though I've got everybody else is doing pretty well.
Good. Well, you know.
This is a tab. This is you know, where it's horizontally on the top, and you can just flip back and forth, and that's what I mean by tab. The only thing is on this particular tab, which was an additional purchase I had to make, we have the ability. It's going to open this up, and we have the ability to do. Where is it? Styling, I bet you. No. I'm looking for a particular thing. Here we go. Tabs horizontal, tabs vertical, an accordion vertical, and an accordion is where it.
Is that just an animated slide, or?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and I don't have any. We don't have any content in here for me to show you. But yeah, it's where it animates. It closes up. So when you finish looking at one piece of content, it closes that content up and opens up your new content that you're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool. So those are the types of blocks that you have. And every type of block you have, let's take this navigation, we can rename. So this navigation might be the your site primary. And here I go with my, remember, you don't have to use underscore. That's just me, old
Doesn't
school.
hurt to do it, though. Stay away from your funny special characters, you know, your percent signs and.
Yeah, I think hyphens are even allowed.
Sure. I mean, most of the back end stuff these days that has been written, you know, for WordPress, it handles a lot of that validation already. But I don't like to take the chance because stuff just randomly will break if a plugin isn't written very well and doesn't account for something goofy.
I totally understand that. So I guess the other thing to show you is that these don't have to be the same size. You have a minimum size, and this is the absolute smallest it will be. And then if this content is more, it will just automatically stretch out. So it is incredibly cool. That's just my take. And I don't think we made any visible changes on here. Yep, no content. So that is an intro really, really quick to all the different types of blocks that are available and to, you know, being able to move them around and setting your height and your width. Are there any questions? Did I go too fast, too slow?
Well, now I have a better understanding of what blocks are, and that seems to be an easy way to do things. So. It
is, and this is totally responsive to answer Donald Brent's question. Yeah, it's totally responsive, and you can even design separate pages that, you know, this page is for a regular computer monitor, this page is for a mobile device, phone, this page is for tablet, etc. if you want to go into that in-depth design. But what you come up with is a totally responsive design, which is what made me choose this.
So somebody may have, Will Rock might have answered Donald Brandt's question about showing up on mobile devices. Is that what you mean by responsive, or is that something?
That's what I mean by responsive. Being responsive is
dynamic to the client machine or device that is displaying the website. Okay.
Yeah, images will resize, the videos will resize, whatever is necessary to make it responsive, which is wonderful. It takes all the work away. Wow.
Yeah, that was a big thing in the news recently too, with Google leaving out unresponsive or non-responsive websites that don't display well on mobile devices.
I'm not sure that they're doing ones that. I think your website has to be responsive.
Mm-hmm.
But I've run across some that are like mine. I mean, Today's Visions is responsive primarily, but it does have some problems
with with how it behaves on a mobile device, or
yeah, the current site, not the site that's going to be uploaded here any day, but the current site that I showed you. Yeah, it has.
Yeah, and I think and somebody in the audience can probably correct me on this, but I believe the the thing that Google was, or a lot of people were buzzing about over the last week, was not that they just would break and not be functional anymore, but that they might not rank as high on search results if your site wasn't responsive to the mobile device.
I guess my question is Google, okay, so like Today's Visions is responsive, but it does have a broken menu system down at the bottom that doesn't really
keep
work.
The entire website from being indexed and showing up in results. That just means that whatever portion of the website I would imagine is not getting indexed. So if it's a matter of a menu thing, well, the menu itself might not have the important content that you want your viewers to come see. It's really going to be in the body of blog posts and maybe some of the news widgets and things that you might have up. So
okay. So Ron, do you have a better idea of how we're going to go about building your site now?
Yeah, that originally when I thought of blocks, I think of the wooden ones with the ABCs on, and you stack them together. But this is a whole new meaning to what blocks are.
Well, when I used to teach WordPress classes back, oh my gosh, what was I teaching? It was 3-4 years ago. So that gives you an idea of how long, what version. I started off with a discussion. I mean, I started off with this big picture of, here's your WordPress site. Here's the header. That's block number 1. That we're going to worry about. Here's your sidebars. It's 2 and 3. And then the center is your content block. And what makes Headway so cool is that we're not stuck with that sidebar content anymore. We can move things around anywhere we want to. And I'm loving it.
It's a lot more freedom, for sure.
Right.
And you can go in at any time and move stuff around and change stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, without breaking all your stuff.
That's
the older method, if you really wanted to break your content up into really cool dynamic blocks, or not dynamic, you'd have to maybe embed a table. And then if you wanted to move your content from one cell of the table to another, you're having to go in and touch the code that makes the things render properly on the website. Whereas with this, you're not having to accidentally delete, any characters out of that pre-formatted stuff. All that noise is done for you.
Right. Well, even, when you say creating a table, everybody thinks of, well, I click a button and all these grids show up and I just put in my stuff. No. Back in the day with WordPress, when I started playing with WordPress originally, you had to hand code that table. So you either go into Dreamweaver and code it, or you just pull up Notepad and you start coding that table.
Right. TD, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, TD, TR. TR for the rows and TD for the columns.
Yep. Well, and it's easy to mess it up. If you're not used to seeing the code and imagine translating it, it's like any foreign language. If you're not fluent in HTML, looking at HTML just looks like gibberish.
Right. Exactly.
Which is fine. It should look like gibberish to most people. I think having a, what is it? They call it WYSIWYG, right? What you see is what you get design. Which is, makes it so much more, inviting for people. I'm trying to come up with the right. I didn't sleep well last night.
It just makes
I do an excuse.
People to work with. Let's see. William Rock has several comments. He uses underscores and has found value in it as the way computers read code. They can separate the words with a dash versus underscores. It's a good habit for the long term.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what my big reason is for I use dashes now instead of underscores for a lot of things. And it's the stupidest reason. Because it's fewer keystrokes to make a dash. I can hit one button instead of shift and that button. It's because I'm lazy.
I guess I have gotten so used to putting an underscore in that I don't even think about the fact that it's an extra keystroke anymore.
Your fingers just do it, and that's muscle memory.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think that will be the end of our show today. Next week, we are going to go into actually designing the content block. I'm going to show two different ways of making a grid. We're going to throw in some garbage post, and we're going to do the Pinterest board grid just to show you what that looks like. It's called a masonry board. And then we're going to go in and actually make another type of grid that you can make within the content block. It is going to be a fabulous show and very informative. So I hope you will join us next Thursday. Ron, thank you so much for being with us and for learning with us.
Oh, well, thank you for what's going on here, because I'm certainly learning a whole bunch of stuff that's valuable, and I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you very much. And Bill, thank you for all your IT knowledge. You're awesome.
Oh, no worries. Let me know if you have any questions about tech stuff.
Oh, can I say one thing before you sign off?
Of course.
Okay. Not only is it important that you be you, but also that you be a better you.
I will try to do that actually I do try to do that every single day. So on that note, everyone, take off for the day, and remember, be a better you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.